Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am of course your host Tony Jameson, and joining me as always is the one and only Rich Owens. Rich, how are you, buddy? Are you well?
Oh mate, I'm very well. I'm very, very well for a number of reasons. I think most importantly, just apart from loving life, I'm really excited about this week's guest because, you know, there's a reoccurring theme. There's a running gag, isn't there? Oh, look, it's the new host of FMT. Every single guest. And all I'm saying is that tonight's guest, if he wants my job, he can have it because he's great. This is the level. Anybody else, get on tonight's guest's level. Otherwise, your claim's falling on deaf ears. Or alternatively, as well as tonight's guest, the only other person who's right for the job, I think, is Mrs. J, because I know she's referenced it once or twice before, and I would watch that content.
And she's declared interest in the job, which usually means, you know, that someone's job is under threat. But yeah, we've had pretenders to the three, Rich. And don't chuck yourself under the bus just yet. You know, I know every guest comes in, and like you say, there is a case. Oh, he's got Rich's job, but you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe tonight's guest actually is a worthwhile shout, to be honest, because he's got a CV and a half, and to be honest, absolutely delighted to welcome to Football Manager Therapy, Bilal Zafar. Bilal, how are you, man? Are you well?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you doing?
Very well indeed. Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. It's been great to get you in. As we were talking before we went on air, like getting you on board was sort of like we need to start branching out outside of the Football Manager community direct, and you're sort of doing what we do, but in a slightly different field, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's PES. I never got into Football Manager. I didn't really. I'm sure I could have very easily, but I remember my brother playing it when I was little, and I didn't. It looked so boring. You know, I didn't understand it. But
it is just spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're not a fan of Excel, Football Manager is not for you.
But I know how obsessed people are with it, and I think it's a similar thing with because the thing is not just that I play PES. It's like it's PES 5, well now it's PES 6, but it's the Master League mode where you're running everything. You know, getting young players in, loaning people out, all of that stuff, trying to build the club. I mean, how exciting is it when you get a young player who looks decent and then he does well? Isn't that just the best?
It's what it's all about, man. It's what it's all about. And the thing as well, like I was trying to sort of explain it to Mrs. J earlier, like sort of like she's like, so hang on, like what does Bilal actually do? Like how does he work PES? I was like, well, imagine it's PES meets Dream Team. Like that's how I've got it. Like because you've taken it to another level, which I think is quite wonderful, if I'm honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it was a fluke, really. Like all I did was I was going to start streaming. Limmy, luckily, is a friend of mine, and he said, like, go for it, go heat first. He said, and I did a bit of like, you know, streaming just random games before, trying to get my head around OBS and stuff, and then I just had that idea of like play a football game. But because you're in the corner of the screen, everyone on Twitch is usually, you know, playing a game in the corner. I thought I'll just be the manager because literally whenever any of us play these games, that's what we're doing anyway. We're inventing stories in our head, you know, making stuff up about the opposition manager slagging us off or slagging one of our players off and then getting him to score or whatever, you know, imagining team talks and that. And I just thought, I'll just do that. And I honestly thought there would be guys that are like, I thought they'd be the top FIFA guys that do that stuff already. I thought the idea's been done, but at least I thought my way will be different because I've got my weird humor and stuff. And then it turns out, no, people that stream FIFA are just opening packs.
Yeah. So I'm going to do FIFA / stickers. That's my thing.
Yeah, and people absolutely love it. It's mad. Yeah. I guess I thought Twitch would be a lot more creative than it was when I joined. I just thought there'd be a lot more character stuff going on. And then it turns out like it seemed like it was just Dr. Disrespect wearing sunglasses was as close as you got. Like that's, you know. I had I had a really, really nice thing happen early on where IGN wrote, and they made a little nice video about me and wrote this little article saying like, is he like reinventing what Twitch can be? And loads of comments on YouTube were like, no, Dr. Disrespect reinvented it. No one else can reinvent it. So yeah. Sorry, I didn't cut you off, did I? I thought I might have interrupted something.
Not at all, man. Not at all. I think a lot of that is incredibly valid. I think if you know I was talking about this when I was streaming the other night. There's kind of a bit of a contrast in, as you said, the level of creativity that goes into like certain levels of streams and certain popular games. Like FIFA is the perfect example. You know, a lot of streaming or content creation around FIFA is exactly as you say. It's people opening packs on the Ultimate Team game mode and shouting as they do it, and you know it's that was big in, you know, kind of like, you know, 2010, 2011. And that just seems to be the business model that everybody's just going, right, well, this works, so let's just carry on doing this. And that's as far as it needs to go in terms of creativity, in terms of actual, you know, creative output. This works, this formula works, this gets views, this brings in revenue, let's just crack on and do that. And exactly the same with, you know, in terms of creativity on platforms like Twitch. Like I say, people say, well, Dr. Disrespect, he reinvented the platform. And he's a guy that put some sunglasses on and a wig. And that's the extent of it. And now that's the level that when people look at creativity in terms of big streamers, that's all it takes. It's a wig, it's a costume every now and then. There's nothing else that kind of goes on behind the scenes. It's not actually creative content. It's just that's the casual perception of what it can be. And I think it's a lot of streamers like yourself who've kind of proved that actually there's so much more that you can do with, you know, and Hot Peppsy is the perfect example of that. It's you've created something spectacular out of a game that's 15, nearly 20 years old, and you've done the creative output you've managed with that is just 10-20 fold anything that most other, you know, popular content creators make on Twitch.
Yeah, thanks. But I mean, like, if you've got a green screen, you can do anything. You can be anywhere. So I don't get why you don't see it. And obviously, I'm sure there's loads and loads of people I haven't seen that were doing, you know, amazing stuff already. But yeah, the most popular stuff. But then I guess that's what Twitch is, right? It's like, and I have like, so Hot Peppsy did really well for me early on. Like loads of people watched it. But then when I tried doing other stuff, you know, it wasn't nearly as popular. It still did okay. But like when I brought over, like I did a series called The Acting School of Excellence, where I'm like a fake acting teacher. I'm really, really bad, you know. And I did that in like a studio before lockdown. And I thought we'll do that on Twitch. And I had some people come on and do that, which was great. But like, it was never going to reach, like, it's not video game based, firstly. So most people, that's not what Twitch is. And also it just didn't quite fit because it was like, those streams were like an hour long. And it's like, that's not long enough. People, you need to do like a couple of hours at least, and people arrive like an hour in usually, and then you're like, oh, thanks for watching. So it's been interesting. It's like you can't do anything on Twitch like the way I thought you could. I was so enthusiastic at the start. I
think you're right. I think that it definitely seems to have some rules about it, and maybe some unspoken rules as well. Like, so I guess sort of where you're coming from, like I guess like we're sort of in a similar sort of area. Like obviously pre-lockdown, we're all comedians, we're all having a wonderful time, you know, we're all stressed with the circuit, do whatever we've got to do, like, you know, making our living and stuff. Like my background, I had a show about Football Manager, and it got me typecast a little bit. Right? I've spoken about this before. Like I felt that show potentially closed a few doors in stand-up. And with you saying there about when you went to branch out of Hot Peppsy, your audience didn't follow. I get that. I totally get that. But what you cleverly did that I didn't think about until, and again, we've mentioned this before we hit record on the thing tonight, you very quickly jumped on. The second lockdown hit, you were straight on there going, I'm going to do this. Right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start making videos about football games, video games as a manager, and I'm going to get in while no one else is doing it. I never really thought about that. Like we started the podcast, and I started bits and bobs on YouTube, partly because I didn't have equipment capable of running a stream.
Yeah.
But also part of me in the back of my head was going, oh, we've done Football Manager. we've done that. I want to be a quote unquote serious comedian. And then a year into lockdown, I'm like, fuck comedy. I'm going to play video games. Like, this is the way to do it. Get me a computer. I'm going to stream Football Manager. And my word, I wish I'd done it from day one. Like, because you just hit the ground running, and that idea was perfect, and the timing was there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think timing was such a huge part of it. And like, what was I going to say? I don't like. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a bit. It wasn't like it. I wasn't. I think people think I was an absolute genius. Like, it wasn't that kind of calculated, really. Like, I just, in my my comedy career was going like this. So like, I had a really good 2016 where I had a Edinburgh thing that got like award nominated, which is a big deal over there. But people generally
don't undersell that. Don't undersell that. Come on, like,
oh, it's okay.
You can oversell it. Come on, like, our audience know about the comedy awards. Go on, lay it on the line.
It's 2016 was
a good
possible.
year, right?
It's the greatest thing anyone's ever achieved. But no, so I had that happen, and then I had all this hype around me, but then nothing really went anywhere. And I was being asked to put forward for stuff that I wasn't interested in at all, like just not things that made me kind of cringe. And I wasn't getting any say in the sort of stuff I could do. I thought I would. I thought it was going to be like, well, I could just do kind of what I want now and get on TV and stuff. And it wasn't that at all. And so it was feeling like it was all falling away. Like, I did 2 Edinburgh shows, 17 and 18, and it was just less and less. Like, I'm a bit of an arsehole, really, because I was getting good audiences, but in my mind, I was like, I'm not getting as many reviews and all of that stuff, And so I really, really felt like before lockdown, I was still trying. I made the acting school web series and stuff like that. I was trying those bits, but even that didn't really take off. And it just felt like my time had gone. Like, I had that little moment and I didn't make the most of it. And I didn't have anything when I started doing Hot Peppsy, really. I just had the gigs, and I was going to do an Edinburgh maybe, but it's like that probably wouldn't have done anything anyway. So it was very like, I was kind of desperate, really. Like, if I was in a position where, and this was interesting, like when I was reaching out to like all the comedians I know when I started Twitch, and I was like, you've got to come on here because it's great. You can do anything. And, a lot of people didn't want to, I guess, put the work in. Fair enough, it's not for everyone. But then I noticed like there were people that get loads of TV work, and it's like, why would they do this? It wouldn't make sense. And I wouldn't either. If I was getting on, I don't know, Mock the Week or whatever, and getting like loads of money for doing that, you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't put all this work into creating a thing around PES 5 in your bedroom. You just wouldn't, innit? So like, it was kind of a weird blessing in a way. But like it started, the numbers were getting bigger and bigger, and I was able to do more and more stuff. And then podcast merch got involved. Luckily, he was a fan, and then I got to make actual football shirts of PES United, and it's like all these things, and it was like, I might as well just keep going with it. I didn't have any plan. I still don't really know when I'm going to end it, or whether I should just keep it going forever. Obviously, won't be able to do it as regularly, but I think it was just a very nice fluke. Like, the best thing about it is I was able to build an audience, because I didn't have that before. Like, especially with the way stand-up comedy is, it's expensive to go and see. Like, if I'm doing a show at the Edinburgh Fringe, I might get to go on tour and then do like Soho Theatre or whatever. And so it's like sometimes 15, 20 quid a ticket. And like, I would never pay that before. Like, and now it's opened it out where I feel like I'm actually getting an audience of people that are like me for the first time. It's completely changed everything.
Yeah, I got to say, man, I'm similar boat. Like, obviously, what we say when we got I was always very, very open about when I toured with Football Manager. I was like, it is the title that's selling this show. This is not me. Like, I got massive imposter syndrome at the time, because I knew there was guys who was so much more successful on the circuit than me, been going longer, and there's me with a tour, with a special on Steam. Like, I'm in a film. I'm like, this is not meant to be happening right now. Like, but you're right. When your stock is at the top, but you just don't hit whatever it is that's needed. It's just not, you're just not the right fit. And it was always a sort of like a slip back down. Then it's like, right, okay, well, then we ended up with, we started a family, and lockdown was sort of happening when our second child was born. I was like,
Wow.
I've not really gigged much that year anyway. And then I was like, actually, like I always say, I feel really horrible for saying it. Lockdown came at a good time for me professionally to sort of take that step back and go, what do I want out of comedy? And I wasn't, unfortunately, in a position where people like yourself, like I spoke to Rob Mulholland a lot, I spoke to Liam Withnail a lot, I spoke to Sterling, guys who jumped straight on Twitch and got it because they just went, you know what, I'm just going to have fun with this and I'm going to build something. And they used it to do something that they weren't doing on the circuit.
Yeah.
And I was watching all this stuff, and I was watching Football Manager content and obviously PES and FIFA and other video games, and I'm sitting there and it's just staring me in the face, and I'm like, I should be doing this. Like this would be brilliant. Like, just right, dust your ego off, Jameson. Right, you're going back in, you're doing Football Manager, and it's going to be fun. And yeah, like for me, like yourself, like I can see that smile already in your face, like sitting there just going, yeah, this was the best decision at the time. Like just to do something that I want to do and find your own audience and your own people, and it then helps your comedy, because when you're going to come and do, we'll talk about it, the Fringe again, like you're now selling to an audience you've built. And people will say like, oh, you've not built it on the circuit, but it doesn't matter where you build it. You've probably got a bigger audience now than you would have off the circuit.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you've got like John Robertson's, obviously. I mean, like Robertson, he's huge on Twitch. You know, and again, just people who know how to play it properly. Chris Purchase is in there doing great stuff. People just getting in and just finding the right thing for them, I think is really important. Whereas with comedy, it's that 20 minutes on a weekend, you know, the club's maybe not your vibe, you know, you got to kind of dig in and do your stuff. Whereas like a stream is different. Yeah, okay, it's 3 hours, it's 4 hours, it's 6 hours, whatever, but it's just you doing your thing, and people sort of get on board with it quickly and be like, I like this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna hang out here for a bit. This is cool.
Yeah, like I was like that as well. Like with comedy, I was with stand-up, I was very much, I think I was doing fine, but like I was in my mind, I was very much doing what I thought was expected of me. And like, and that was the path in my mind. It was to do stuff that I don't even really want to do, and then try and get this TV thing, and then try and, you know, build an audience and get bigger venues to tour in and all of that stuff. When really what I want to do is, I mean, like Hot Peppsy is perfect for me because it's like, because I'm a football fan anyway, and I like, you know, satirizing all the stupid football cliche stuff, like the hard men of football being all respected and stuff. I love, you know, doing stuff with that. But I also get to add, like, because I'm like a big film fan, and I get to just take things that have like inspired me and sort of let that influence the stream. So like, for example, I did my 100th stream, where it's like one of my favorite things I've ever done, where it all came together perfectly as well. Like, so we won the league, and I think we won the Champions League. Sorry, the UEFA Championship. And
other tournaments are available unsponsored.
And we did all that, and then so I had this thing building for a couple of weeks, where I knew what I was going to do, and I had a character we got called Shimmy, has a teddy bear with him all the time, and then I just started putting a voice into the teddy. I did like the little echo effect, and it just kept saying like, "Kill the gaffer, Shimmy, you have to kill the gaffer," and I can't hear it, you know, the audience can hear it, and I'm just sitting there like nothing's happened, you know. And that was the thing, that it kept building, and I kept bullying Shimmy, basically. I was just being really mean to him. And then we had like the 100th stream. It's a big party. We've won like everything. We're like best, you know, we're like legendary now. And then out of nowhere, Shimmy's just got a gun, and I just had the bang noise. And I have this brilliant, I don't know where it is. I've got this stuff is excellent. This fake blood.
Only a comedian would have that. Only a comedian.
It's really good, this stuff, because you literally spray it. That's it. It's that easy, from like the pound shop, isn't it? And so I just sprayed it on myself, cut back to me, and I've just got a big blood stain there. And I'm like, what? How has this happened? And then it cut to like a montage going back through all the streams. And then I woke up, like changed my suit, woke up in the first ever Hot Peppsy stream I ever did. And it's like that, like I wouldn't be allowed to do anything like that anywhere else, you know, like I wouldn't be able to even write that for a thing. People wouldn't like it. But I'd been watching a lot of David Lynch stuff at the time, and Twin Peaks, if you've seen it, the Return. I watched a 4-hour YouTube video about how genius The Return is and what all the meaning is and all of that stuff. And that influenced it. So then even when we were back in the old PES, it wasn't quite right on purpose. It was supposed to be like, this isn't what this is meant to be. So I was trapped there for a bit. Yeah. So yeah, my point was, anything like that. There's also another, sorry, I know I'm rambling a bit, but there's another film that it's called, I think it's called like Crime Boss or like The Big Boss or something. Some like, I think it's Peruvian or something film that I saw on film 4 years ago, where this guy stabs his boss, is what it's about, because the boss like really abuses him. And you know it's coming in the film. They reference it because he's looking back. But even when it happens, it's so shocking the way it's done. And I wanted to kind of copy that kind of thing. Like everyone knew Shimmy was going to kill me somehow. But then when I actually did it, it was like, this actually happened, you know. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off, but
no, this is perfect, man. Because like you say, like what you've done, and you've essentially made an Edinburgh show. Because this is not a 20 minutes in you know, Camden Jonglers, is it? Like this is not like, you know, it's not that, right? Like you've created a full on experience. You've taken the layers of, you know, for granted, like, you know, when we stream Football Manager, we're just in the corner, we're doing our little thing, we'll put a suit on for the cup final. That's the extent that I've gone so far, right?
Yeah. All
the other stuff that I've mentioned in shows and stuff, I'll go for this level of sort of eccentricity. But you've taken it and just went, well, if I'm going to say it, I might as well also do it.
Yeah.
Because it's visually more empowering. And to have it plotted and planned that level, that's beautiful, man. That's like a proper level of skill that you've got to appreciate. And like, and was it always, you've probably already mentioned, but was it always planned that way? Or was it just, as you got into it, you're just like, oh shit, I'm doing my David Lynch thing. Like, I could probably tie all this in. Like, it done like 10 episodes in or something. You're like, oh, here it goes. Like, I'm on the path now. Like, was it always
like
day one, or was it, or just like?
Well, it started with like, I've got green screen, I can do anything. So the first thing was, you have the advertising board thing, so you're doing a press conference like any manager, not like a post-match interview thing, like disappointed, blah blah blah, slagging off the ref, you know. And then the next thing I did, so I had a few like team talk, dressing room, and all of that stuff, halftime team talks, and then Castolo, I just cut out his image and gave him a voice, and it was like my go-to silly voice I gave him. And then obviously I can't remember who the next character is. Maybe it was Park Chu Young. Or Dodo, I don't know. It was one of those who I introduced, and I just gave them all stupid voices, and it was always wrong. It's like it's never the right accent. Like you got Valony, who's French, who's got a Scouse accent. You know? It's like all of that
because it has to be. It has to be.
Why not? You know, basically all the accents I can sort of do.
And also the ones you definitely can't. Just go like, I can't really do.
But it's fine.
Birmingham, but we're going to do that. It's totally
but it's fine because he's not actually Scouse. He's French.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then I guess as soon as you introduce a character or more than one character, then you put storylines in. So I think like one of the first ones I did was just about how Castolo and someone else were just like not passing to each other enough, and it was that basic, and it was that, and then it went off into the weird stuff, and then I think I can't quite remember, but I think the first time it might have gone weird was we were doing Family Fortunes, PES Family Fortunes thing, and Risa had never spoken before, and I was like, oh god, I don't have a voice for him. And then when it cut to him, he's like, thank you, sire. You know, he calls me. You know, and then from that point, it's like, what even is our relationship? Like, what if he thinks I'm the sire? And there's obviously something dark going on there. And there is, like, there's all these backstories now, and it's like, and then Risa became kind of my, I don't know, like he helps me with anything like magical going on. He's the guy, but he serves me, you know. there's some weird curse situation going on. But yeah, it's just gone into it goes into so many weird places now. And yeah.
In terms of, you know, like you say, the you know, a strong influence from things like Twin Peaks, and you kind of, you know, you get invested in that kind of thing, and then it comes across then in, you know, through like Hot Pepsy storylines. Are you at the point now where, you know, you actively going out and, you know, you've referenced, you know, like, you know, weird Peruvian films. Are you actively going out and just looking for just some, you know, kind of batshit media, and it's like, this could be terrible, but at the same time there could be something in this that I could then adapt? Or is it just kind of like by accident, you know, you're awake, it's 2:30, there's some really weird Bulgarian black and white film on Film 4, I'll give it an hour just in case?
It's not, I haven't gone to that level yet, because I always feel like there's just so much you can do. Okay, like for example, I did a whole stream which was, I got arrested in the one stream, and then I did the trial of the gaffer. Because it was stream 150. That's why I thought I'd make it special. And we looked over old clips of the stream, and that was a way to look at evidence of all the bad things I'd done. And then I did a little twisty ending where like the judge was like, he's not guilty. Oh no, I read it wrong. Guilty. and then the stream just ended, right? Which I love doing that. Just did like a Sopranos ending, you know? And then I had a great. So what happened then was I was like, right. Oh yeah. And then the next stream was all. This was very meta. The next stream was all run by a player, so I wasn't in it. It was a player at my desk, and I only spoke to him over the phone. You know. And then after that, I was like, I want to end this jail thing and be back. But I was like, how do I do it? Because I was going to do this big prison break thing, like Shawshank Redemption or whatever. And I thought, I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need to always be that big. You know, that sort of loud. So the gaffer was just out of prison, one stream, and no one really, he's just gone. And it's like, I'm a bit cagey about like, you know, what's happened. And then I had that. So in my mind, I was doing it so that I'm like an informant. That's how I got out. Right. And then I had such a good, I was in bed at like 3 a.m. couldn't sleep. And we just signed Obafemi Martins. And I was thinking, I need to bring back that story of how I got out of jail. I think it's not satisfying to just be like, that's that done now. And so I had the idea of making Martins an undercover agent. And he's there because of me. Like, it's all been like pre-planned, you know. I think there's enough stuff. Like, I hadn't done anything with an undercover, you know, and also it's Her Majesty's FBI service, you know, to make any sense. But yeah, so I just feel like there's more, and like there's things that I want to do in future that I've not got round to yet. Like, I'd love to do, usually I wouldn't even share this kind of thing, I'd keep it to myself, but like I want to do some kind of murder mystery stream where something's happened and we have to figure out who done it or something like that, you know. I think because I can go anywhere, because it's still a football club, so I can still focus on the footballing side and make it more like a sports film, or I can just go off and whatever in it, like, and then you've got the things of potentially different dimensions, and yeah. So I haven't had to do that yet. The thing is, I watch enough kind of films and stuff anyway, I think, to get influenced. Yeah.
I mean, you're probably the first football video game streamer that has mentioned different dimensions. Like, I mean, I thought that we got it bad. Like, without like, I booked an open top bus for a European Cup. Like, I thought that was probably like the peak level of silliness. Turns out I'm not even on this. I'm not even in the stratosphere here. I'm just sitting. Like, I remember seeing you mentioning like the advertising Barrett hoardings. I remember seeing that first of all in lockdown. Then I remember seeing the Wheel of Fortune. I remember when you re-put it up again, I was just like, oh, and I was buckled at laughter again at that. I was just like, that was my sense of humor right there. Then I was like, this is wonderful stuff. Like, Rich, I think we're wasted, mate. I think we're just literally just dialing it in at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, here's my save, lost again. Here's my save, lost again. Why is that? Oh, training. Like,
yeah, exactly.
The stuff I do is exhausting, right? After a stream, quite often I feel like I've done like a show, like a stand-up show somewhere. I can be knackered. And sometimes it's so much work and I've got burnout before because I've overdone it. not everyone has to do stuff to the extent I do. I think even when I asked, like when I was telling comedians like jump on Twitch, it's great, they were all like, no, I can't do that stuff when they saw the PES United stuff, and it was like, no, that's not what you have to do. That's just my weird thing. And it's not always perfect. Things don't always it's generally okay, but things don't always sort of go quite how I want. Like for example, I did so for this new season. So I went from PES 5 to PES 21 season update, wherever, and then I went back to PES 6 because they messed up the new game. And I decided to do, like, I thought I need to add something new, and I realized that something PES United don't have is a strong enough rival. Like, we hate North London Red because they're all fancy passing, and we hate Everton, Merseyside Blue, because they beat us a lot and stuff like that. But I was like, we don't have a solid rival. So we United, who I don't know if you know are the main actual rivals of PES United in the game. There's this other team, like Winning 11. I thought I'm going to put them in, but I wanted to make them amazing. I wanted to make them absolutely class. I wanted them to like batter us every time, and that had to be a thing we have to overcome. But I didn't put their stats high enough, so they're not that good. They're like mid-table, and I can't go back and change it now. Like, it's that save file. Like, because the problem is, like, I didn't want to put them all to like 99 every stat because I didn't want them to be too good. I thought that might break the game a bit in a way, like, So I made them all really good, but for some reason that it didn't quite work out, So I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted We United to be the dominant force in football, and I thought that would have been a brilliant way to take the story. But and also there's times when, so like very early on, we were, because the game setting, like I played PES 5 for the first time in years, and when I first played, like, because I got so good at it when I was like 14 or whatever, I thought it'd be easy. And it's not. It's really good. It's a really good game. Like, it's not like FIFA. That's the problem. Like, you can't just put crosses in randomly. You've got to time everything. If you, yeah. And
it's different on stream as well, isn't it? Like, the pressure of doing it with people watching is just like, I'm terrible at Football Manager. Terrible. So bad in front of people.
Oh, I miss some sitters, man. It's bad. Except I have the luxury of being able to blame the players. And being like, he's having a shot, we have to take him off, when obviously it's just me. It's a mistimed thing. So like, I had, sorry, I'm telling really long stories here, but like, I had the problem of, I had the star rating with the difficulty was too high, then I put it down, and then it got too easy, and then basically we would have won everything in like the second or third season, and it's like, you can't have that in anything about any documentary about a sports team or whatever. You can't have them winning everything at the start, So I had to throw a couple of games, because we would have won like the Champions League like straight away, and it's like, that's not meant to happen. So I had to. I think it was a semi-final against Man Red, and I had to kind of throw that, unfortunately.
Sounds a lot like you're constructing a narrative here, Bilal, which Rich will be very, very happy about. I mean, we're big fans of narrative-based content around here. Rich, any sort of like thoughts from you? Because like, this is like, as I say, this is so much more in depth than what we get. Like, you're like myself. You came into it about a year after everyone else had already sort of hit the platforms, and you'd seen what was going on. Like, what do you think? Like, how have you taken the inspiration from what we're talking about now, and like, what can we add?
I mean, it's in terms of inspiration for how you go about kind of creating and structuring storytelling in content. I mean, we couldn't really be talking to anybody better, could we? It's quite fantastic. I mean, I've been there, and I've had it myself, where like you're saying, Bilal, it's finding that the right balance, especially just something fundamentally simple like game difficulty. You're almost like, if you're streaming a game like Football Manager, I think if it's going too well, people, the kind of, the Football Manager streams that Tony and I make, we say a lot, in terms of Football Manager content on platforms like Twitch, you've either got people that are really, really good at the game, or you've got people that can tell a story. And Tony and I aren't very good at the game. So, we're there to, it's more about the story. It's more about kind of what's going on in the save that kind of might bring people in and attract the audience. And there are times when sometimes it's going a bit too well. But if I just look like I'm one of those guys that just is good at the game, you know, people are just going to get bored of that really, really quickly. So you're almost hoping, you're like, right, okay, on paper we're the favourites for this game. You know, we're second in the league. The team we're playing are rock bottom of the table. We're probably going to win 4-0, but wouldn't it be really interesting if we lost 1-0? Wouldn't that be a much more interesting story?
I have recently, and this is like at the time of recording, last night's stream, I was in the boardroom 3 times, threatened with my job to say you need to sort this out, and I'd managed to convince the board on 2 occasions that it was a good idea to keep me. And during the 3rd period of you've got a month to save your job, we went 6-0 down after 18 minutes.
Oh my God.
Never seen that before.
That's great.
I had my goalkeeper substituted. I had a striker taken off. This was like 8 minutes in. My keeper's out. I've gone to one up top, and I'm going, this is terrible. I mean, to be fair, after that, we locked up and we did not concede another goal, right? But the first 20 minutes of that match were awful.
But that's the great thing about doing stuff like this, is that you can't lose. Because the only way I could really lose is if I get game over in PES, which can happen if you go bust. But apart from that, it doesn't. Anything can happen, right? And it's fine. Like I had, like, you know, things happen by accident. Like that sounds amazing. Being in relegation form like that is really funny. I did one where we started really well at the start of the season, and I did a little press conference saying we're going to go the season unbeaten, and I genuinely thought we could. I actually thought we are actually going to not lose to anyone. And then it was like Bournemouth at home, whatever they're called. It was PES 21. Score against us, you know, lucky goal, or maybe it was like a screamer, and then we hit the post like four times or something. It was one of those nightmare games, and then we lose, and it's like, well, that's a Twitter clip sorted, you know. I didn't even, and you can't fluke that. You can't hit the post on purpose.
You're right. Like it's literally a no-lose situation, because if you win, everyone's happy. If you lose, everyone's like, "This is brilliant," and you're just like, "Yeah, of course it's brilliant. This is like the best thing that can happen." Like we've gone 9 games, we've lost 9 games in a row. This is excellent, because if we get sacked, you're all gonna love it.
Yeah.
And a word gets around very quickly. He's gonna get sacked. He's gonna get sacked, and you watch the viewer count just go up and up. And
really?
Up. Oh yeah. I can see it. I mean, maybe it's just a me thing. We genuinely, we had one. I've told this story so many times. We had one night where I was doing that bad in a fictional football club called Aberdeen, and it was so bad that season that I was ready to be fired there and then, and I was like, I just can't do it tonight. Like I needed a bit of time to sleep on it, work out my next move. So I said, right, we're gonna raid off into the next stream. People are going mental, like going, you can't. We want the sacking, and in the raid, the new stream was like, hey, Tony, how's the stream going? I was like, I balled a sacking. They're like, what? They're still like kicking off in his chat. And I was like, right, tomorrow, come and see us tomorrow. We'll do it again. So we turned up tomorrow. The starting screen was already happening. The chat was flooded, already going, he's gonna get sacked. He's gonna get sacked. He's gonna get sacked. And I went on this big sort of like monologue at the start about like, really sorry, it was very unprofessional of me. I shouldn't have done it. Like, you know, like I should just man up. I should take it. Like I should have given you the sacking that you all deserved. And then I put the game on and just went, or I can resign right here and now, and did it. And they all went, no. I was like, there you go, done it. Right, the rest of the streamers find a new job.
That's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's
sell it to them.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was a big thing. Like it was genuinely a big thing. Like there was it's always nice, and we've said this when we've had guests from the community on before, especially people who are kind of, you know, newer to streaming. It's one of the nicest things is when you're starting at your stream and it's all loading in and the chat's filling up nicely and there's people in there, there's people chatting away before you've even cut to yourself and started the actual stream. It's such a lovely feeling, and it's like, this is nice because you feel like you've built that audience, they're here for you, and you're all gonna have a lovely old time. And honestly, it was terrifying. The levels of anger in that chat, just that which is it's Football Manager. It's
blood.
Yeah, genuinely.
That's so funny.
Genuinely, like there was somebody. Like I swear, if somebody could have been there in person, they'd have been thrown, ropes over high beams. There'd have been tar being heated up. It was
awful. But it was contrast to, I remember watching one of your streams, Bilal, like where you were, it was a day where you went, I need to get some ideas out and work out what's next. And you just sat for about an hour just with a notepad on screen, just typing away, going, new idea for merch. Right. And I was just like, I've just had people baying for blood, and you're like going, shall we sell pens? I'm just like, your chat were lovely about that.
Yeah, I mean, something with, I'd say one of the best things as well about doing Hot Pepsy is that because I made it, I try to make it a collaborative thing with the audience. So I tell them, you're assistant managers if you're there. That's it. So anyone who's like, oh, what difficulty are you playing on? How are you playing it? What console? Blah blah blah. I don't ignore it, because it's like I am a manager. It doesn't make any sense. But then when you have the majority of people just being in character, it's amazing. And people have said before, like comedians have been like, they're quite funny as well, and they are. Like my audience are really, I guess over time, like I definitely had at the start when it just started to kick off, and I was getting like ridiculous amount of viewers, like peak lockdown when there was football had gone as well, so people were supporting PES United now.
Yeah,
I did have a bit of the wrong kind of people, like a bit of laddish humor, bit of like every time. So sometimes I have like a guest come on and be like a member of the club, like the owner of the club or whatever, physio, whatever. And sometimes when I had women on, there was a bit of weirdness. But over time, I think because I got weirder as well, there's less and less of those people. And obviously you can't police it perfectly. You're always going to get like, I don't know, trolls or weirdos or whatever. But like overall, like just the way the audience are and like the way they're committed to this thing is just really, really nice. And like they've got their own sort of character now as well within the thing. So like there's a guy called Shearer's God who watches every Hot Pepsi, and he's always like, he hates Dodo, our captain, and I'm always furious about that, and I kind of argue with him about it, and none of it is even real, but I get really into it in the moment, and like, but your audience are just angry at you constantly. Is that what you're saying?
No, not especially. I think like we're quite fortunate. I think we're probably a bit like yourself, to be honest. We're quite fortunate. We've cultivated quite a specific audience. Like, again, Football Manager, I guess we get a little softer side. Like, I know when we did the tour shows, like we would have people saying like people would book stag do's, like, oh, it's a stag do booked in. I'm like, but if they're coming to see a show about Football Manager, it's not a stag do, is it? Really? It's
God.
like it's a proper, like, it's okay. And like, and it's exactly what you've got in your head. It's not a stag do. It's like a group of lads who are like, we'll go here and then we'll go like for a couple of pints and that's it. And it's like, cool, lovely.
Yeah.
Venue's been like, there's just men here. I'm like, be fine, don't worry. Like we'll mix the audience up, but it'll be okay. Like, and we found that through curating this audience, and again with the podcast, we've been quite fortunate. We haven't attracted a large football Twitter crowd. I think it's for the best description. Like it's not football banter, and we're very sort of like, we stamp that out in the Discord pretty quickly as well. It's like, this is not a WhatsApp group, right? But just flagging on football teams. It's not.
Yeah,
we're all a bit older. We want to have a conversation. We want to have a nice time. Like we want representation. We want people from all different backgrounds and genders and religions and sexualities. We want everyone to be in together, and we want everyone to feel safe. And that's what we work towards. And thankfully, touch wood and all that sort of stuff, we've been pretty fortunate with that. And we're very open and we're very, very pro. We bang a lot of books about what we want, and people seem to latch onto it. Like, we've had guests on the podcast who talked about their experiences. They're predominantly positive. They say there's been a couple of negative experiences as well, but then they're saying overall quite a positive experience. So that's where we are really with our audience. They're a bit right on as well, which is quite handy for us, to be honest.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, sorry, go on.
No, not at all, man. After you, please.
I was just going to say, like, we're in a good position because we don't, like, the audience isn't too big, so it's like you can kind of keep control of it, and they are mostly just lovely people. But like, if I got something like if like Lad Bible were like, check out these guys about us, like how would that go? You know what I mean? Like, let's say it got really, really viral, then you probably not the right sort of people watching it, you know? And yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's like, obviously but I'm sure like everyone wants more viewers and all of that. I definitely want it to be huge, you know? But it's like, but you might lose that thing, you know?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, it's the beauty of doing it on a platform like Twitch is that, you know, you're curating your own audience, and it's those people that are coming back on a regular basis. They're coming back because they enjoy a lot of the time, you know. And I've had people in my chat saying when I've been streaming, you know, they're like, we're here for you rather than the game. You know, we're here because we enjoy what you do, or you're.
That's the best.
It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and you know that's the nice thing. I mean, Tony hit the nail on the head. It's like, you know, there's nothing worse on a Saturday night. You find out that there's a couple of stags and a couple of hens in, because you know that's not your audience. And the beauty of something like Twitch is that it takes a certain kind of person to go, well, I'm not enjoying this stream, but you know what, I'll go back tomorrow night, and it's going to be the same. But I'm not going to enjoy it again. I'm going to be that guy in the chat that's causing trouble. You know, it's the people that come back on the regular. You've got people like Shearers. God, I've got a lovely dude. Shout out Sam from my streams, who just pops in most evenings for about half an hour. He just comes in and just talks about like how his exams at high school are going, and then he just watches the stream for half an hour, and then he goes. And I'm like, what a lovely guy! What a lovely guy! And he's in regularly, and it's part of that audience that you're curating for yourself, because they're invested in you, they're invested in what you're doing, and it makes it a much nicer space, because you know you're winning the right kind of people round, and the people that you're performing to, or the people that you're streaming to, they're people that are there specifically to watch what you're doing. It's not luck of the draw. Are half the audience in this room tonight going to enjoy the jokes I'm about to tell? Because you know they've bought the ticket, they've joined the stream, they're there to see you, and it makes that, you know, 99% of the time, if you're going to do something, if you're enjoying what you're doing, they're going to enjoy it as well, and that takes a lot of pressure off.
I think it's quite handy as well when you get your community become self-policing. Yeah, and as a streamer, obviously that really helps you, particularly yourself when you're in character. Like, you know, that's like you're busy performing. Like I'm a bit more like, I mean, I guess in comedy, I'm more of a compere than I am as just a straight act, I would say. So for me, I'm constantly like, that's cool. I can like sort of do about that. Mods have got it. That's my noise. I can jump in if needs be, whatever. Like, we're cool. Like, I think the fact that if the chat are on the same wavelength and they're self-moderating as well, and they're like, this is our thing. Don't come in and be a dick. Like, if you're gonna be a dick, get lost. We don't need you. Like, and because for them, it's like it's their time that is being wasted. Like, they're investing great. I know maybe it's slightly different now. Like lockdown, when there was nothing else to do, then yeah, like anyone can do whatever they want, sort of thing. But like now, it's like we can go back out. We can do things we need to do. Like, so if they're choosing to sit in a stream and be part of that experience, it's just nice, like, to get people to come in, like, don't come and be a dick in here. Like, it's not what we do, you know. It's not something, not a thing.
Something handy about being a character, especially like the gaffer, who's like an angry man, is that it's a lot easier to deal with like heckles. You know, you just get angry at people and it's fine. It's all part of it. Yeah. And again, I'm not really angry. Really, I'm just in the zone, kind of thing. I had, I'm sure I had like one guy come in. He was being a bit rude about stuff, and I kind of was a bit aggressive with him, you know, in the jokingly kind of the gaffer way. And I swear, like 5 minutes later, he was just calling me gaffer, and it was like a cult, you know. Yeah. It's like he's in it now. It's weird.
It's the way to do it, man. Like we've had, you mentioned a cult there. Like, we've had a situation where I've got a Norwegian football shirt behind me. We've got our Discord, because we're linked up with this Norwegian club. Our Discord started learning Norwegian off the back of it, and the club were just going, "This is fucking nuts." And I'm like, "Oh yeah. We're fully on board." Like,
what are they? What club is this? What, like?
It's Odds Ball Club. They used to be Odd Grenland back in the day. So the Tommy Svindal Larsen's probably their most renowned export, or Espen Ruud. So we ended up in a conversation with them on a stream one day. It was It was very strange, very strange. Odd would be too easy to say, but it was a very strange experience. And then all of a sudden, I'm in a Teams meeting with the club a couple of days later, going, "This is quite normal, right?"
Wow.
Then here we are. We did a press conference for them with Norwegian media, so we put that up on YouTube. But it's just like just daft, man. It's just daft.
Magic,
and it's just class when people just take that thing and go, "This will be funny. Let's do that." And you're like, "You're our kind of people. You're on our wavelength." Like you say about getting like a lad Bible recommendation. Like you're right. It's horrible, man. Because you get. I've seen it. Like you'll sort of have things like, "Oh, Tony did this as part of his show. Isn't this really weird?" Underneath, "Oh, sounds rubbish," or "Oh, yeah. I've done better than that." And you're like, it's not a contest. It's just, isn't this stupid? Like, just go with it. There's no like the football man. For me, the Football Manager the Tour show was never about, aren't I the best Football Manager player?
That's so funny.
It was always, I'm a knobhead. Don't be me. Like I want to be the biggest idiot in the room. Like,
but it's so funny that someone thought you were someone going around art centers just showing how good you are at a game.
Exactly. Fucking weird, isn't it? Just like, "Hello, Colchester. How good are you a Football Manager? Because I'm that good. I've written a show about it." Just how braggy could you possibly be?
You just sit there in silence on your laptop.
I had a guy once, like we got to like 50 seasons in. The show got to like 50 seasons with Blythe, and I was showing the league table, and one bloke shouted out, going, "Haven't got unbeaten though, have you?" I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's really funny.
But as you say, there's just no wrong answer, because if he says nothing, it's funny, we do the show, and if he says something like that, it's just even funnier because it's just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Couple of questions we've had from some of the community prior to the record. This, I'm presuming, at Gambling Blues is one of your people. He's pretty much given us a script for the show, so we may have covered some of it already. So huge shout out to Gambling Blues. So let's do it in order. Number one, why were you so unfair to Shimmy for so long?
Because it was funny. Because he's pathetic, right? He's because he's the opposite. Because he's a brilliant player technically and everything, but he's small and he's not particularly tough. And because I'm the hardest man in football, I'm never going to like that kind of player, right? So, and it was just funny to bully him, especially because he was so sweet and everyone loved him. So me being mean was just funny.
Perfect. It's the best answer. Did it? Because it's funny. That's why. Were there any financial tricks, in quotation marks, employed to land Mr. Martins this window?
If he means, I can't tell if he's asking that like in character, but like if he means if I actually did anything, if I messed with the game or anything, then no, I didn't do anything. We just kept bidding and offering him. I think there's a trick with the amount of contract years or something, and we just cracked it. But he's on loads of money, so it's not been like a good deal.
Yeah. Bankrupt the club to get this guy, and we've done it properly. FMK, is this? Oh, fuck, marry, kill, isn't it? Sorry, we'll realise that how out of touch I am with the modern world at this point. Fuck, marry, kill, Mr. Iniesta, McGurgle, and Risa.
Well, kill McGurgle, because that's, if you don't know, that's the head of the referees, played by Stream at 10:30, who's a good friend of mine. Horrible man, that referee. Horrible. Corrupt. Kill him. And then who is the Iniesta and who else?
Iniesta and Risa.
Oh, you'd marry Risa because he's got the powers, right? He can sort any situation. I mean, he says he can. He put curses on people and stuff. And then the other one, Iniesta, because he's just a brilliant man.
Perfect. To be honest, if Risa can put spells on you, you're getting married whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
To be honest, you've got no say in the matter. That sounds awful, actually. But a nice spell, a lovely spell.
Yeah.
We'll be
romantic,
happily ever after.
Yeah.
Did all those gift subs in Hot Peppsy 100 make you feel like an opera diva getting showered by roses?
Oh yeah, it's really nice, man, when stuff like that happens. I mean, anyone gifting out subs is very, very sweet, isn't it? But yeah, when I did that 100th one, I can't remember, but I got people gifting insane amount of subs. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It's like I appreciate it so much. I always say, like, I appreciate subs. People can watch for free if they want, which I think is one of the great things about Twitch, which separates it from like live comedy, which is overpriced often. Yeah, no, it made me. I would have got probably a little bit almost emotional off of that, but I couldn't show that, obviously. You know, being the gaffer.
Yeah, if you're doing it in character, it's really weird. And for me, the first time it happened, it was really confusing. Like, I presume for yourself as well. Like, someone's like, "Oh, you'll sub to this." I'm like, "Thought you already did," but like, "Oh, I'm paying for this." I'm like, you know, you don't have to, right? Like,
yeah.
And I always do a thing. I'm like, so if you're gonna sub, do it through Amazon Prime, because it's not gonna cost you at all, right? You're not paying any more money. Like, don't give me more money. Like, you've already paid something. Like, just do it that way.
And also, sorry, I've been so used to being broke in comedy as well.
Yeah.
Not that I'm rich now or anything, but like that kind of thing, it massively helps, man. So it's just very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, with pandemic times, like for an extra source of income, it's
huge.
Yeah.
That's it. We always make a big deal about how the money that if we raise any money through subs or anything like that, it gets reinvested back into streams. So, you know, it's at least there's something to kind of show for it. But like Tony says, we're very vocal. You know, if people do want to pay, do it through Amazon Prime. You know, take £3 worth of petrol out of Jeff Bezos' spaceship. That's fine. I'm more than happy with that. But don't
half a litre these days.
Exactly. He's not even going to get to take off at this rate. But yeah, we just give us Jeff Bezos cash. You know, don't spend real money on us. We're not worth real money.
So that's half the questions of Gaming Blues. Right, his second tweet.
Honestly, Gaming Blues, bless you so much, because you did all of the prep for us this week. And
he's on next week's podcast if you're interested. So gonna get So he says, for real though, some things hopefully you could discuss. The planning to create story arcs on Hot Peppsy. I think we've kind of touched a little bit upon that. The United States of Al, the audition, the relief. Why didn't he get the gig?
Do you know what that is?
No. Let's go back.
So United States of Al is something I watch on stream. I watched all of it because it got cancelled after 2 seasons. But it's a sitcom about it's a CBS American sitcom about an Afghani interpreter who works with the US military, who moves into an American family home. That's what the sitcom is about.
Wow.
And it's as bad. It's worse than it sounds. It's worse. It's honestly, it's unbelievable how bad it is. Like the joke writing, everything about it, the concept of it, like, and it's got a weird pro-military thing going throughout, which feels very uncomfortable. Yeah. And I auditioned for that show like ages ago.
Oh, really?
Which is why I got a bit obsessed with it. And of course I'm glad it's like it never happened, but that would have been, my life would have been completely different. Like I would have been rich, I guess, but absolutely hated by a lot of people. Because a lot of
only rich for a couple of series though. If it got cancelled, I'm guessing.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to be the lead in a CBS sitcom.
The lead?
No idea.
Okay, sorry.
He's the main guy. Sorry. Al is the main guy. Yeah. So I don't know. I assume I would have been rich living in LA and stuff, but I think I would have been very depressed, probably on opiates, like a lot of Americans.
Oddly specific. Yeah. Almost like you planned this out.
Yeah. I would be in a really bad way now. That's
yeah.
Wouldn't be doing Hot Peppsy, that's for certain. We'd be playing FIFA, opening packs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I like to think it's like joke writing. You know, you came up with a concept. Opiates was the punchline. Right, I'll just work backwards from that. You know, right? How can I afford the opiates? That's Hollywood money. Right, to Hollywood I go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. If I have opiates, I can't have happiness.
Yeah, I can't have natural dopamine. So I have to be on them forever. Yeah.
Phil Jones is here. That's FIFA. No, that's out. Right. Okay. So what's the other PES? Right. That'll do. Let's go for it. We'll talk real football. This is a good question. Arsenal's transfer window. Presumably, what's happened already, and then what's going to go ahead. And I'm going to throw one in as well.
All right.
Arsenal, all or nothing.
Oh yeah.
What a team to pick for All or Nothing at the start of last season was.
Well, I mean, the
wild,
thing
right?
is, though, the thing about All or Nothing is that people are getting too excited about it because it's not going to be good. There won't be any real juicy stuff in there. It's just a PR thing for the club.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I watched the Tottenham one, and they had that season was Dyer tried to fight fans. They went out of every competition in a very embarrassing way. I think they lost to Norwich on pens at home in their new stadium and all of this stuff. Lost Poch, got Mourinho in, and that was a bit of a mess as well. And like there was so many bad things that happened that season. And they had that whole thing where they were gonna furlough staff or something. There was some whole big controversy.
They were one of the first ones that thought it was them. Newcastle and Liverpool were all going to furlough, weren't they?
So there was so much controversy around them, and they didn't cover any of it. They like brushed over all of it. It was like, oh, this thing happened, but then, and then here's an interview with Winks.
Here's Danny Rose thinking he's going to sign for Inter Milan. Like,
yeah. Like, it was nothing. There was no substance really. So, like, firstly, I don't think the Arsenal documentary is going to be anything interesting. I think it's the purpose is to get more Arsenal fans, right? It's nonsense. Even though the end of the season was disappointing, it won't cover how disappointing it really was, you know? But I'm still going to watch it. It's going to be, I'd love to see Arteta doing his team talks and stuff. In terms of the transfer window, I'm very, I think Jesus is a really good signing.
Yeah.
Very happy with that. I think it's exactly what you need. I wasn't that fussed about Rafinha, really. Like, I think he's good. I didn't think he's like world class, exactly what we need kind of thing. So I'm not that disappointed about that. Apparently he's going to Barca now. Is that true?
I mean, Barca appear to have these magic beans that they keep buying players with. They've got no money in their PayPal account yet. They're still linked with everybody. Just going, can we buy him on Klarna? Like, is that how they're doing it?
Yeah, because he's gone to. I thought Chelsea was done, and now apparently it's not, and it might be Barca. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it depends. Obviously, I think the squad is very thin, and that's what showed at the end of the season. I think there's a lot to be optimistic about. I think really, like, even with Arteta, like, I don't sort of adore him or hate him. Like, I think he's done some great things. I think he's got some very good ideas. He's made some mistakes, like having Willian and stuff like that. Playing him so much was really weird. But like, if this season is good, if he, I don't know, wins, he's already won an FA Cup, which is pretty good, you know. But like, if he manages to win a cup or get Champions League, I think that's great. If he doesn't, I think he's probably got to go. I think now is the real. If he gets the signings, this is it now, right? This is the real test. Yeah, we'll see.
He seems to have a really weird. I'll let Rich come in this as well. He seems to have a really weird transfer policy, and we've sort of joked about it previously with Arsenal that it's either bring kids in or wait till a player at Chelsea's turned 32. And then buy him. Like, going, are you coming towards the end of your career? Do you like living in London? Would you like to play for Arsenal? Like, it's just a really strange vibe.
I don't know. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. This summer seems to have been the kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, let's bring some younger, more exciting players in. But then you just know that come January, it's going to be, right, who's played less than 5 games for any other club in London? And let's just offer
drink water up to.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, even like with Willian, I think I can see why the signing. He's been a good player. He's not awful. He wasn't before. And I could see how having him in the squad might be good. And I thought he'd be a guy who played like Europa League, or whatever, and come off the bench sometimes. But he played him all the time. And benched Martinelli as well, and it's like I don't know what that's about. I don't get it.
I like Jesus though. I think Jesus is a good fit for you guys. Like, playing off the shoulder last defender. Like, I saw someone like raging on about him, going, "Oh, he only scores tap-ins," and it's like, but that's what Arsenal need, like, to finish off those flowing moves. Like, if you get to the byline and cut the ball back across the box, if there's nobody there, then Jesus is perfect.
Basically, when we sold Aubameyang, we didn't have a striker pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, Lacazette, I don't know what was going on with him, but he was so bad at the end. Like, when the pressure was on him, he couldn't do anything right. Even like, I've got a season ticket, and I'm quite lucky. I sit near the goal that we shoot second half. So usually, if things go well, it's a good place to be. And there was that game against Wolves where we were losing, and then Pepe came on and scored, and then Lacazette scored in the last second right there, which was amazing. But then, and it was like, oh, he's back. He's in okay form. I watched it back. It was like the luckiest deflected own goal. Like, it wasn't a good shot even, I don't think, and it just went off someone, looped, and even the reaction was delayed because everyone was like, no one knew what had happened, and the net bulged, and it's because of the way it looped up slowly, you know. Yeah.
Do you reckon Arsenal are going to have the issue that they've had for the past few years, that at the end of the transfer window they're still going to be lacking a defensive midfielder and a centre half? Because that seems to be the standard Arsenal transfer window every season. Yeah,
they seem like they've got a good plan and they've been active, you know, even trying to sign Rafinha. Like, they were actually going for it, which is, you know, something. It's hard to say, in it, but I also, at the same time though, I'd rather they kind of wait for the right guy rather than just getting any, because, you know, the amount that these defensive midfielders get hyped up, like any guy who plays for like Burnley or whatever, who puts some tackles in, everyone's like, oh, Arsenal should sign this guy, and it's like, no, he's not. They're not necessarily good enough. So, like, I think it's kind of good to be a little bit patient, and I think they know they you know, I think they've got a plan. It's like, this is it now. Like I said, it's like they are spending money, and they've done all right. They've pulled off some decent signings. So I'm a lot more optimistic, but I think next season will be good for us. I do think it will be better. Like, I think we had mostly a pretty good season. I think, really, even though it was obviously really disappointing to miss out on top four the way we did so late, it just fell apart, you know. But like, I don't think many people would have said Arsenal were going to finish fifth. Like, people were like Gary Neville was like, they've got no idea what they're doing. They're signing all the wrong players, and he's been completely. And Ronaldo and Man United are magic, you know, all of that stuff. Look at all the way they brought in like Sancho and Varane and stuff, and was still awful. You know, it's like, yeah, I do think stuff is on the up.
Do you think big season ahead for Smith Rowe, Saka, Maitland-Niles, Nketiah, Odegaard? I mean, it's not a bad run of names to just rattle off, is it, to go like,
it's pretty good,
guys,
isn't it?
You know,
and it's pretty good. And there's like players like Saliba, who's been on loan, and I think they are planning on, unless someone tries to sign him, they are going to bring him back, and he's got a lot of potential. Yeah, no, I love
Ramsdale as well.
There's a lot to be excited about, I think. And like, you add Jesus in, you add Jesus in, with Saka and everyone, and I think surely, you know, I'm very excited. I think, and also this Vieira guy, I don't know anything about him, but apparently he's going to be competing for Odegaard's place. I read someone say, I don't know if it's true.
Now he's a Football Manager signing. See, all the Football Manager players know who Vieira is, so they're all raving about him. Like, I don't manage in the top league, so I've never heard of him.
So that's where that's come from, right? Okay, it's come from Football Manager fans. Yeah. But like, so I think that will be good as well. You know, even if he's not world class, just someone competing. Because like, you know, you take Odegaard out, and it was looking a lot, you know, a bit too much pressure on Smith Rowe and Saka. Like, Saka played way too much last season, you know, and he had to, you know. Yeah.
No, agreed. Final question from Gambling Blues, talking about how comedians support each other on Twitch during lockdown. Again, we sort of touched upon it a little bit, really, back and forth. But as I say, just for myself personally, just like, I just think it was great. Like, the people who took to it really benefited from it, and I think there's still some comics, I think, who, if they're still looking at it now, going, "Oh, I should have given it a go. I still think that the scene's there for people to jump in, and I think they should absolutely do it if they've got any ideas. Like the surf. I mean, you know, heaven forbid we have another outbreak or whatever, or another surge or another lockdown or whatever. Like, people relying on the circuit still for their only source of income. Like, you know, things like this, podcasts, Twitch, YouTube, got to be doing like a second line of income and stuff, and just another strand of creativity, and it's just been great to sort of like to reconnect with people. Like, I mean, our paths, I don't think our paths really crossed in comedy, actually. Like, we've never really worked together, which was like strange, but we know each other's names. And then this sort of like situation came up with things like Twitch Sports and stuff, and then the Hot Pepsy. I'm like, we need to work together on this stuff. So it just allowed a bit more collaboration, which again I think was quite insular with comedy. And you mentioned at the start, like, you're in with an agency, they make you work with their acts, or they make you work with their producers on their projects. Whereas with Twitch and podcasting and YouTube, it's a bit more, well, I want to work with the people that I want to work with. I want to make the stuff that I want to make, and I'm going to drive what I want that way.
It's just so fun.
You know?
It's definitely, I think, everyone's got to give it a go, really. It's like, yeah, man, absolutely love it. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great way, like you said earlier, it's a really, really good way to like scratch that creative itch. You know, if you've got stuff that, you know, you want to do, but you know that it wouldn't necessarily translate well in the context of a live show in front of an audience in a club or in a venue. But you've got, like I say, all you need is a green screen. Then suddenly you've got this platform to try all these things. And you know, in terms of the collaborative side of things, it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, it's a phrase I've used before. You know, it's when you're writing to, you know, you're getting in touch with promoters, you're getting in touch with acts. You know, you're trying to put stuff together. The amount of times I'll finish emails or correspondence with, hey, but no problem if not, it's absolutely fine. And that just, it's not needed on this platform because everyone is so willing to kind of work together and collaborate and put heads together. And the levels of support have been there. I know you mentioned right at the beginning of the pod, you know, you got nudged into this by Limmy, which is, you know, what an incredible person to say, hey, you should give this a go. It was the same through Tony and myself. You know, Tony started streaming, and 2 months later he was like, right, get a webcam, get a microphone, get online, and that was it. And it's really, really nice to have, you know, support from friends, from peers, and just who are nudging you.
Also,
and saying, this is what you need to be doing.
That Twitch, and I think the raiding thing, like being able to raid people, is so like, it just gives you, it's like, here's a thing you should do when you end your stream, you might as well. And it's just like such a kind thing. Like, and I love doing it to try and support other streamers. It doesn't have that thing. Comedy can have a lot of jealousy and bitterness there because I guess there's kind of so few opportunities in a lot of ways, and certain people get things and all of that, and we're all like, oh, I should have that, you know. But with Twitch, I've not found that personally. It's just fun, you know.
I think we've tried to rationalize it in comedy terms by going, imagine finishing a show and then going, right, we're all off to this gig next door, and then like everyone just rocks in and you're halfway through unannounced, like just going, this is weird, like so like it's lovely, it's really lovely. And again, getting to know different members of different communities and stuff off the back of that, and like again from a comedian's point of view, like validation in a community as well. Like if you've got some people who are quite decent at your part of Twitch, like, you know, your specific video game or something, you get people who do quite well and they raid in, you're like, oh, okay, this is quite nice, and like I quite like that. And then their crowd are like, we quite like this person, and it's like, it's just great, it's just brilliant. Like it's, why would you not, you know? Question here, Eritrea, doing the Kelly Kapoor gif of, I have a number of questions. Number one, how dare you? That's a question straight to you there. Luff D has said, in the visit to Leicester tomorrow, is this an attempt to sneakily sign James Maddison?
PES United.
He's class, and that would be well mean.
I don't know, because we've got Iniesta, we've got a couple of good young lads in that position now. Also, Maddison doesnn't exist in PES 6. And
there's a bit holding him back there. I mean, it wasn't a definitive no, but it's the lack of existence may hold him. He'll probably fail the medical.
Yeah, maybe if he was real. Yes. Willie94. This is me going to be showing exactly how out of touch I am. Could you ask him to stop being so washed plus ratio? I don't know what ratio means.
Okay. Yeah, I started I won't go on about this, but I started a stream called XG Boy, who is a football Twitter person, and we do that live, and he ratios people and says, you know, he's a stupid, excited football fan, talks about Pinaldo and Pepsi and that kind of thing. That's what that's from. Yeah. Calling players washed is a thing. Finished player, washed. If you're washed, you're done.
I'm too old for this now, aren't I? I need to go like football
teletext. You don't want to go into this world. Trust me. It's a dark place.
Oh, bless you, man. Bless you. I'll tell you what, right? We'll start wrapping up, right? We'll start wrapping up, but we're only going to wrap up after you tell us about the reason you're on. Talk us about Fringe. Talk us about the Fringe.
Sure, yeah. So I'm doing a new show all month at the Fringe called Care, which is all about when I worked in a care home for the elderly for a year. But the care home was a specific type of place where it was kind of only for wealthy people, very, very expensive to stay there. And I was on £6.50 an hour. And and it's just about, this was 2013, I think. So ish. So it's all about that. My time there, which is one of those things where it's like, because I was 21, it was my first job, and it's like it all seemed fine, but then in hindsight it was weird, a lot of weird stuff. Storytelling, stand-up show, hopefully very funny. I'm really excited about it. I think it's a good show. I've worked very hard on it. Still got a bunch of previews left, still got quite a bit to do as well,
Whereabouts are you on?
Underbelly. Nice. In the Bristow Square. It's called Jersey, the venue, and it's at 5:30 every day. I can't remember what the day off is in the middle. I'm sorry.
Excellent. Well, we'll stick all the links and stuff in the description. So hopefully that'll help. But definitely go and check Bilal's show out. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. So do that. Obviously, also promote Twitch, promote Twitter, promote everything you need to do, man. Like, genuinely, it's been awesome having you on, and do come back at some point as well next season. Sure. More Arsenal and more PES and obviously more comedy. But promote away, buddy. Promote away. Let people know where they can find you.
Twitter is Zafar Cakes, ZAFAR Cakes. Same on Twitch, and almost the same on Instagram. But I think I had to add an underscore because it's taken somehow. Yeah, TikTok as well, but I don't really use it yet. But I need to get in there. But it's that name everywhere. Yeah. I tweet about gigs, and a lot of my clips from my stream, some of the best stuff goes up on Twitter. So that's a good place, I guess, if you're not on Twitch. Yeah.
Awesome. That's the bit I need to start working on, to be honest. All the getting clips out there and properly done, because
you can do it quite easily though. I'll tell you about it maybe after this.
I've done a bit of looking at it and going, I should do this. Then I finish the stream at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'll post a screenshot of where I'm in the league. We'll look at that tomorrow. It's like, I'm wasting opportunities here. But no, like, Bilal, amazing having you on. Like, genuinely, thank you so much. Like I say, do come back again.
Please.
During the course of the year, and I guess that's kind of where we'll leave it, really, to be honest. It's all about you. So go check out Bilal's Fringe show, go and support him, let him know that you're there as well, and that we've sent you. That'd be amazing. But hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're all staying safe, and we'll see you all very, very soon on another episode of Football Manager Therapy.